Hey guys, can you guys hear me? Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? What's up, what's up, what's up? I hope you guys can hear me. Welcome to another one of our BEJ Lives daily live stream. The time right now is 10, let me get the exact time, 10:08 a.m. in the morning. It's Wednesday, right? Coming to you guys live from Tokyo. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Right, again, the point of like these live streams primarily is just to connect with you guys, during this time, the COVID-19 pandemic. We can talk about anything that you guys want to talk about, as long as it's something that's like appropriate. We can talk about that on this live stream. Remember, if you are not yet subscribed, go in the link in the description down below. Click on that link to be subscribed to the channel, or hit the subscribe button, that big red button down there, the bottom, what's that, left of this screen. Hit that, turn it gray, and select the bell notification icon so that you're notified whenever we go live. Currently, we can only go live on this channel indoors, so once we reach 1,000 subscribers, we will be able to go outside if the need arises. Thank you guys who have joined us daily so far. This is officially day number 2, I believe. And yesterday, the stream cut abruptly, but we were on for like 2 hours, almost 3 hours actually, and the stream just went down. Not sure why, but one thing is for sure is that the internet overall, I believe it's the bandwidth, has been under a lot of stress lately, because people are using the internet a lot. People are streaming movies. People are streaming so many things. So even Netflix, as I said before, has reduced the resolution for their videos, the default resolution. So if you click on a video, it starts streaming at 480p, right? That's the resolution quality of the video, and then you got to upgrade it to 1080p or 720p if you want. So that might be why. So maybe we were just burdening down the system, and we went offline, and yeah, it was kind of crazy. People were wondering what happened, but that stream just went down. It went down in flames. Hopefully today is a better day. My goal is to remain on for 1 hour. I'm not trying to exceed that. Yesterday I felt like I had like so much adrenaline, so I was going. Like the Energizer Bunny. That was me yesterday. So that was, yeah, I was going and I was going. I was like, man, I could go for like days. But anyways, the topic of today primarily is, I wanted to ask you guys, like, have your interest or desire to travel intensified since the COVID-19 pandemic and most of the borders have been closed? What happens usually is like you miss things when you no longer can do it freely, right? So if you had, an opportunity or the freedom to do something, you guys know this, the moment it has been taken away from you, that's when you need it. You're like, oh man, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. So it's one of those things. I want to ask you guys, but from some of the comments I've seen on some of our videos, it seems like you guys are still, interested in traveling. Some of you guys can't wait for this pandemic to be over for you to travel to Asia, different countries throughout Asia. So that's something as well. So hey, the answer to that question from some of the comments I've read is definitely. Even myself as well, I can't wait, as well, to start traveling again. It's one of those things where you're like, man, like, really important, right? And when that's taken away, when you have no choice in the matter, it sucks, right? So, what are you guys saying? What are you guys saying on your side? Hey, Chili, how you doing? Hey, Enola. Hey, what's up, Earl? Thanks for coming on. Yeah, so you guys also can call in, right? So we have the number in the description down below. We have the Skype ID in the description down below as well. So you can feel free to add us on Skype and give us a call, and we can talk live as well. So Chili's saying he wish, I'm assuming you're a guy, I'm not sure, or she wish that she had visited Asia last summer. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. I had a funny dream last night. I dreamt about China. but maybe because I was watching um this news report about China and COVID-19 and how they're potentially covering up stuff. So there was that happened yesterday. So I was watching that because people are saying, well, how come all the cases just dropped in China all of a sudden? China can't be trusted, etc., etc. And I was watching some news reports yesterday to that effect. So I guess that's why I dreamt about China. Anyways, um, yes, I dude. Okay, yeah, guys, feel free to call. Let me just tweet this out again. Just in case anyone wants to join us live. Yeah, yeah. These live streams, um, yeah, a slow start, but we'll pick up, and it will get better as we move forward as well. Let's see. Let me find the link here to share this. Mm-hmm. How are you guys doing? Talk to me, guys. Talk to me. How are you guys doing? False numbers, they say. How are you guys doing? Let's see. Follow us on Twitter as well and Instagram at the blackxjp. Yeah, this definitely takes some discipline. I gotta say, it really takes some discipline to live stream on this channel because, I it's like I know if I went on the BEJ main channel and do this live stream, a lot more people would be on, and there would be a lot more interactions in terms of people calling in. So it does take some discipline. I mean, you're just fighting the desire to do the live stream on the main channel, but I have to remain resolute and just work with what I'm doing. So yeah, so there's a desire to be like, man, if I was on VJ, but it's good. It's good. It's good. It reminds me, and like we have a few channels now, and well, I had the vlog channel for a while, for actually almost 4 years, and it just reminds me of just the beginning. So it's like there's two sides. I've always been grounded in terms of how hard social media is overall. Just I think it's one of the hardest things ever, actually, in terms of uh, increasing the awareness of your existence. It's really hard. Like, so I understand that because it's like there are certain things that you can do where you can employ certain methodologies. Like, for instance, if you go to university for the most part, if you just focus on doing your work, you know that at the end of the 4 years, you'll get a degree, right? So you understand, you go, you just do the work, and you get it, right, for the most part. Social media, for instance, you can work for years, like it's no joke at all, and you don't get any traction, right? It doesn't matter if you do the right things, so-called right things, or the wrong things. It's just one of those, one of the most uncertain things on the planet. It's one of the eighth wonder of the year, of the world, I should say. I'm like the year. So, well, the good thing is, so when I have the main channel and then other channels as well, and there's a difference in terms of awareness and attention, it reminds you of just how hard it is, right? It's not easy. So it's cool, right? But even before even looking at the different channels, I've always been grounded because I knew where I'm coming from and just how hard it is, and that it's one of those things that you can't even predict. You can't predict it, like you can't. So yeah, so that's. But I just said that just to just say it, to share that. But yeah, so I'm fighting that desire. So even if we have 10 people, we will live stream on this channel still. We will. we will. Okay, let's see. So Chili is at work, or you would call in. Wait, where do you live, Chili? Where do you live? So no, Earl is from Toronto, Canada. Well, let me look at this. It's probably better if I look at the comments here. So Earl, I know Earl resides in Canada. Earl called yesterday. We were talking for like, I think, at least 45 minutes. I think we were talking. We were talking for, yesterday. Let's see. Here we go. And then we have who else? Enola. I think Enola is from the States. And of course, there's my wife. And who else do we have? We have some silent viewers as well. Okay, South Florida. Okay, cool. West Palm Beach. Have you been to the beach lately? Oh, that's a joke. That's a joke. I'm not being serious with that. But yeah, it's traveling. It's quite something though. If you and I want to find out. Then again, I'm not sure because people that usually watch this channel are people who are interested in traveling overall. So, I was gonna ask, like, has anyone who had no interest in traveling, have you decided, or has the desire suddenly arisen to travel the world since you can't travel the world right now? What, you want me to call again? No, you look. No, no, no. Feel free. Feel free to call whenever you want to call. If you want to call, it's not a must, man. Like, as I said, as we go forward, as we do more live stream and stuff, like the format might change. I may have different people on. We might go outdoors once we're able to do that. So there might be different things that we might do as we go forward. So right now for maybe the next couple of weeks or months or whatever, it's gonna be just more, not months actually, but maybe at least for the next few weeks, it might be more um, free form live streams until we get a structure, because this was sort of impromptu as well. The decision to do this, even though I was thinking about doing a live channel for a while, the decision to do it, as you can see, this channel was created like a few days ago. So we will be molded into form as we go along. Much love to the silent viewers. Yep. What's up? Thanks for watching, guys. How you guys doing? I hope you're having a wonderful morning or evening or noon or night. This made me want to travel less. Okay, so Busy Mike said this made him want to travel less. Travel less. I hope that, look, this thing can actually cause that. And I feel like it can cause countries or encourage countries to implement stricter travel requirements, all right? Which could be, as you guys know, for instance, and this is just me just, hypothesizing, like this is not factual. Like countries, for instance, some countries, when you go to those countries, you have to, or before you have to get vaccinated, right? You have to get your shots to travel to certain regions in the world. It's encouraged. Some places it might be mandatory. So now in the age of pandemics, right? Like the COVID-19, there might be a mandatory requirement for people to be vaccinated before they can travel. My hope is that at the end of this pandemic, that won't be implemented. That would really suck. For some people who want to have a choice in deciding if they want to get vaccinated or get shots or not. So it's one of those things where I'm like, man, that whole traveling experience might be different. So traveling pre COVID-19 and post COVID-19 might, oh snap, sorry about that, might be different, right? And that's what I am a bit slightly worried about, concerned about, because the requirements right now, some places you can go, you don't need any shots to go to certain countries, right? Most countries, I think. But now if you want to go, it seems like it might be possible. It's easy. And people, there won't be much pushback, I'm thinking, if they decide, you know what, if you every visitor to our country needs to be vaccinated first before you enter our borders, and you need some sort of documentation to prove that you have been vaccinated. While I was in Singapore, the government had this thing where they closed the borders for the most, well, not really. Well, they closed the borders to a lot of countries, right? A few countries actually at the time. And they were saying, look, closer to the time when I was coming back to Tokyo, they had intensified their restrictions. And they said, look, if you're going to come to the country, right, you need to make sure that you go to the overseas mission for Singapore in your region, your country, and get approval from them first, beyond a visa, beyond that, the normal requirements, to, you know, get checked and make sure you're okay before you can be approved to travel into Singapore. And then once you arrive on the soil in Singapore, then you have to go through another verification process before you can enter the country. So they had that, right? So that was one thing. And you had to be either a Singaporean or, you know, a naturalized citizen or a PR, right? So you have to be someone like that to travel there. And if you are not, you have to have some like extenuating circumstances or something that requires you to travel overseas or travel to Singapore to go. So you couldn't say, oh, I feel like I want to go to Singapore. You couldn't decide that you wanted to just travel and go. So that might be a sort of foreshadowing of what is to come. Hopefully that's not the case. I really hope that's not the case. But it would definitely suck if that's the case, right? So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I could see how easily that could be instituted or implemented. Let's see comments. Garlinia, how are you doing? Thanks for coming on. Earl, all beaches in Toronto are officially closed as of today, and everyone that violate. Wait, oh, you mean violate, right? They put violent, but violate that law will be fined and imprisoned. Oh wow, okay, that's pretty intense. 81 Gators, I can't wait till the world reopen. I was supposed to Italy this year. Okay, look at that. Chile, do you feel you'll be more cautious traveling certain places when the world opens back up, as you and your family? It really, well, overall, like when I'm traveling, I'm usually vigilant, especially it depends what country I'm in. But the truth of the matter is, when you travel outside of where you're used to or your home country, there is a certain level of vigilance that you need to maintain. Usually when I travel, I'm always thinking about, okay, you know what, I'm actually not, you know, in a country that I, you know, like where I'm from or where I can stay like long term or whatever the case is. So I'm not really protected by, you know, different laws or whatever. So I'm susceptible to different things happening. So I'm always like vigilant, and there's always that, right? And then there's a possibility of you falling into something, you know, being overseas and, you know, experiencing some challenges that, you know, if you were somewhere else, it might not have been so challenging, right? Like for instance, when I go to China, sometimes I'm like, I'm a little bit, you know, like, okay, this is China, you know, so you're like, okay, let me be on my P's and my Q's, you know. You're always like, okay, make sure like you you have your wits about you for the most part. You know, I've heard, look, there have been some stories out of China that I haven't even shared with you guys, because people sometimes send me messages and stuff like that. Maybe we'll bring those stories to the fore, you know, in the near future. There was another thing. What was it? Well, someone reached out to me recently, actually, that it seems that they're stranded in a certain country, and they're trying to see if I can advise them on getting in touch with their embassy, right, to get back to the States, actually. So maybe I'll try to help them out and see if we can maybe give them some publicity or something that can help them to get to where they need to go, because I know that a lot of YouTubers that were stranded utilized their the attention that they have to get back home. Like some Canadians did that as well, and other YouTubers as well. So let's see. I'm in dialogue with the person. Let's see if I can help them to sort of repatriate. So there's that. What's this? So Garlinia said, I can see the possibility of your scenario once the vaccine here is out. I believe the projection is 2021. Yeah, Earl, a Quebec pharmaceutical firm is working on a plant-based vaccine that might be available by the end of this summer. Animal and human trials will be commenced very soon. You know what? That reminded me. What I was in New York. I can't remember when. Maybe I don't know. The last time I was in New York in the States was 2015. Maybe that was a while back actually. Snap. Anyways, I don't know on which one of my travels I was what year, but I went to a hospital, right? I think it was my mom. She was gonna get a checkup or something. I think it was my mom I was with, or my brother. I don't know. I was with someone because my family like lives in America. Like my mom, dad, brothers, sisters, and I went to the hospital in New York, and I thought my mom or my brother, I can't remember, or both, and I saw like all these doctors walking around wearing masks, right? So I was like, okay, but for me, I'm like, sometimes I'm not really. I'm inquisitive. I don't know, maybe I'm inquisitive sometimes. So I just asked. I don't know what compelled me to ask one of the nurses or doctors the question. I'm like, okay, it was around flu season, right? So people were getting vaccinated. My mom get the flu shot like every year apparently, and some other people as well. And I see these people walking around like the doctors with the mask on. I'm like, okay, like I don't know, like okay, I know you're in a hospital. Y'all are wearing masks. So I asked one of them. I'm like, why are you wearing the mask? Like why? Why are you wearing the mask, right? And the person said, it's because she never took the flu shot. So apparently I'm not sure if this is like nationwide, but in certain hospitals in the States, if you are a healthcare practitioner, whether maybe, just, I don't know, like a nurse or a staff or a doctor, you need to cover your face if you refuse or didn't decline to take the flu shot. So the first thing that came into my mind was, okay, I can't remember if the person was a doctor or a nurse, but the first thing that came into my mind was, you're a doctor or a nurse, right? And if you're not taking the flu shot, that's where my mind went. My mind just went to, if you aren't taking it, and you know way more about health, healthcare, biology, sorry, anatomy and all that more than me and the general populace who aren't healthcare professionals. Maybe we should be leery of, just say, hey, shoot me up. I don't know. That was very telling to me in that moment. I don't know why I decided to ask her that question, but I did. And just the response was like, I'm like, wow, so you decided not to. So you went to college, university, maybe medical school and all that stuff, and you understand all these things. But yet still, and it wasn't that one person. There were more people in the hospital that works there, like doctors or nurses, that were wearing masks. And she said it's because she never took the flu shot. She declined it. Okay, chew on that. Let's see. I'm not sure what you guys think about that, but hey, what do you guys think about that? What's your take? Anyways, that was like, okay. It's almost like you go to a place and someone is cooking some food and you're like, hey, do you eat this? You're like, no, not really. I'm like, what, you're selling this but you don't eat it? No, I don't eat it. Why don't you eat it? It's not the healthiest food, But hey, people love eating it. Hey. You better eat that food if you want me to eat it. Anyways, moving on. Who is this? Okay, let me just say this before people just try to start chewing me out. Look, make your own decision. I'm not trying to inveigle anyone or influence anyone. I'm just sharing a story, an observation that I made at least 5 years ago, right? When I went to that place. Garlinia, another scary scenario is listening to the World Health Organization discuss vaccines in their internal meetings. Those professionals are not taking it because they know what is in it. I see. Divine, yes, I'm a nurse. If we refuse immunization of the current flu shot, we are required to wear a mask. I never got the flu until I had a required flu shot to work in a hospital. Okay. Okay. Chili, you're going down a dark road, Ran. So I know that's why. Where's my flashlight? I need to get my flashlight. I need to get a flashlight. In Canada, if medical staff don't take the flu shot when they can show up to work, however, however, I never take the flu shot. Yeah. Yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff, but I'm just saying that. Look, as I said, take this and do whatever you want with it. I'm just sharing something that just I just had an experience, and it just looked odd to me. I'm not even sure why because at that time I wasn't in Asia, so I guess I wasn't. I never knew about people in Asia wearing masks all the time because of pollution and different reasons. So like I just saw it. I'm like, okay, like I've never really seen this. There's people walking around. I'm like, okay, why? And so I just asked. I can't. I don't know what compelled me to ask, but I did, and she said what she said, and that has been corroborated by someone else that's watching right now. That's a nurse. So I'm just saying, hey, but anyways, I just wanted to share that. Look, I'm not saying. Look, and look, anyways, again, disclaimer: I am not encouraging people to do one thing or the other. I just shared a story, and it's funny how when you share a story, people can think things. Just like I shared that story about me encountering the Indonesian Chinese guy in Shinjuku, and people just arrived at so many different conclusions. And all I did was share a story. I just shared a story. That was it. It wasn't. I just felt that it was a unique experience. Right? I'm like, oh snap! What are the odds? I share this story. I never knew that would have gotten so much attention. It literally, like, I was kind of like taken aback by just how much attention that one video got. So sometimes you just share a story and people just take it and run with it and do whatever they want with it. So it's necessary for me to have a disclaimer when I say certain things or preface certain things with a disclaimer. But traveling. What was the next thing about that? So now Japan, from what I've heard, they're testing people now, and if you're coming in, Jay, is it from any country or all countries? Is it all countries or just certain countries? For people to self quarantine. Okay, it might be any country. It might be all countries or just specific countries. But at least now they're requiring people to self quarantine, and they might also start what do you call it? Testing more people. Oh, apparently they'll test them right on the spot. Oh wow. Oh, that's terrifying for some people, right? Because you're not okay. So oh wow. Okay, at least that's better. That's better actually. So once you come in, so now look at this. I'm like, it's one of those things. You could have done this from weeks ago, but now you're just doing it. So now the situation at the airport is different, based on what I've experienced and what they're doing now. Because before, as I said, you just come in, hey, what's up? Blase, blase. You're good. You just walk in, you just wall sit, you grab your suitcase, Oh, wait, you go to immigration first. Hey, what's up? Hey. You go through immigration, then you grab your suitcase. Hey, what's up? You get a cab, or you hop on one of those airport buses, or you go on the next train that costs like $35. But just one quick thing: if you guys are coming into Narita and you want to get from the airport to Central Tokyo or Tokyo Station quite inexpensively, take the 1000 N bus, right? That is a really cheap bus. It's like a 2-hour commute almost. Pretty chill. You just go in. It just takes you all the way to the station. If you're in or you can take the next if you want to get there fast, and the next NEX train is like $35 from the airport into central Tokyo. Then they have these other buses that charges about 20, 25, like $20, $25 to get in as well. Don't take the taxis, right? I know that Uber is trying to get more people to use them, but Uber and taxis in Tokyo, the prices are comparable. It's not, Uber is not that much cheaper, if it is at all cheaper than the taxi cabs in Tokyo right now. Um, uh, I have them sending me these promotions and stuff to use their service and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. Don't fall into the trap like two of my friends who took taxis from the airport to central Tokyo, right? Costing them between $300 and $500, even though that was billed to their corporate accounts. But yeah. Okay, someone is calling. Let's see who this is. Give me, wait, who is this? Is this? Okay. So, okay, Earl want to call. Let's see. Where are we? Yeah, this, yeah, the whole, look, I'm good. These places aren't going anywhere. Time to think logically, said Natibala. Yeah, it's one of, well, it's one of those things where yeah, we, as I said, the reason why the actual, okay, let me just talk to Earl. Hey, what's up, Earl? I gotta put you in a time limit, okay? So we got like 10 minutes per caller at the most. What's up?
10 minutes. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta get
Yeah.
some
No. I
structure
understand.
going.
I
Yeah.
understand, my brethren. I understand.
What's up?
Yeah. I see no one is calling in, so I figure I'll get the ball rolling.
Okay.
Uh. Yeah. This travel thing, man, is gonna cost the whole planet a whole lot of money. And right now, Canada, the airline companies are screaming that they need money because they're losing billions of dollars. They had to lay off some of their staff, and actually last night, just before you were rudely taken off the air. Um,
I don't know what happened.
yeah, no, I'm not blaming that. As I said, they rudely took you off the air. Some of the executives at Air Canada has decided to give up their salaries to help the staff. So,
How
which is
noble.
a good thing,
Yeah.
you know. But they still got the dividends checks coming to them and so on. So they're not going to be crying for money.
But I met someone in Singapore, and just by chance, and during the SARS epidemic at that time, he was working for a major airline, right? And what happened was he got like a really good package because he's like, they approached him because they were laying off people kind of like now, and he got this offer, and he was like, what was it? It was telling me, I think it was like some crazy, it was in the thousands, like maybe 250,000, like some like big number, and so like he got that plus they offered him that actually. He never had to take it if he never wanted to. They offered that and like free travel for life and a lot of other stuff, right? And he's saying that he decided to take it. And some people were calling him an idiot. They're like, "What?" But now he's like, "Look, now when he compared his life with their lives, now he's like, okay, well, he's like, hey, I made the right decision, but they didn't, right? Because they decided, hey, no, we don't want that. We want, to stay or whatever the case is. But hey, imagine free travel for your
Well,
life, okay?
well, it's kind of like the Dave Chappelle situation when Dave walked away from $50 million.
Yeah.
People laughed at him and said, "Man, what the hell you doing? We don't get that kind of money. Uh, you know, n- it's not something that black folks get
Yeah.
offered to us." And he walked away from that. Now he signed a deal with Netflix. I mean, he kept his dignity and self-respect and everything, and he signed a new deal with Netflix for what, 60 million,
Look at that.
and he's happy. So it does come around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So
but
what's
it's,
up,
it's up
man?
it's up to the individual. What they want to do. I mean, traveling. around the world right now is just it's crazy. You can't. I if anyone decides to do that right now, is suicide.
No, I'm
You
not
know.
saying no. I'm not. No, no. The title. Well, you know
Mhm,
what? That's the next thing.
mhm.
People might misinterpret the title. The title is not asking people. I'm just asking. I just wanted to ask a question about. It was gonna actually be about Asia. I was gonna ask people like, do you guys still want to travel to Asia? I don't mean now, but I'm saying
Mhm.
that was
Mhm.
the initial question. Like I was gonna ask, okay, are you guys
Yeah.
still interested in traveling to Asia? Because some people might
No, I
might
got
say,
that. I
so
got
that
that.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Because I'm not encouraging people to travel anywhere right now. I'm just asking
Mhm.
because sometimes when something is taken away from you, you have this desire now to travel, right, or to do something like, oh snap, when I had my car, my bicycle, I could ride to this place, but now you don't have it. You're like, you feel to ride, but you can't. So that was one of those things. That was what I was asking
Well, I'll
about.
tell you something. People are going to think really hard about this whole situation because this is like the second or third disease that have kind of emanated from Asia, and I think the SARS was the first one that was claimed that came from Asia.
Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult for folks to make that decision. But Asia will have to do a huge promotional kind of job to bring visitors to their region. Japan right
I think
now,
we're helping them. I think we're helping them. Like so many people. Yeah, like
well, I think
the
right now
numbers are
Japan.
staggering. How many
Well, what
people?
I see happening in Japan right now from people I speak over here in Toronto,
Yeah.
they're not too impressed with what's happening in Japan. I think they've disappointed actually, seeing people walking around and going to bars and going to restaurants and going to the beach and going to check out the cherry blossoms and stuff like that. When they know what's happening, not too, like 800 miles to the west of them, and what's going on to the east of them, and of course what's going on in their own country, and it's like they're walking around like zombies that just don't care. And it's going to be difficult for specifically Westerners to think of going to Asia after this.
But you know what? With Japan, from what I've heard, like someone called, I think it was the first time we did a live on this channel, and he has resided in Japan for about almost a decade, and was saying that in the 311 earthquake, which was like a massive earthquake, March 2011 in Japan, that
I was actually watching it live when it
oh
was going on for about 10
okay,
hours.
oh wow, yeah. So the
Yeah.
whole sorry, the response from the government to the people was, it's like apparently it's just a practice of Japan. When it comes on to certain things to kind of maybe downplay it or try to like save face, just different things like that. So maybe I
Mhm.
think it might be the information that was being communicated to the populace or the Japanese people that maybe might have influenced their decision to not take it as seriously because the numbers we've heard. Well, then again, we have the cruise
Well,
ship
that shows a
situation.
lack of common sense and
But no, but no, but
ability
no,
to
but I see what
think
you're
for
saying. But
themselves.
it's like, but the thing is, everyone is being influenced by the media, right? So right now, when was watching something about America, the U.S. yesterday, and just the way that like the lockdown is going on. It's like if you're watching the media and it's telling you one thing, then that's gonna be what you're gonna carry for the most part. So I guess because in Japan, like they weren't testing as much, so the numbers seem really low for some people, and they're probably like, oh well, hey, it's not that bad. Maybe we can still just go about and do this. And Japan as well. I'm not defending them, but I'm saying it's a society where people are kind of stressed out because of just the level of work. They work so much, so leisure is like a big thing for them here, right? So every holiday, the first chance they get, they just want to like maximize it. So some people might be like, hey, listen, man, I've been working like like I don't know, 12-hour days, hard to sleep in. I can go out right now and my drinking time with my buddies, or my I'm going out for dinner, whatever it is, that's my time to de-stress and unwind. So maybe that might be one thing as well. But
Well,
the way
you know
that
something?
yeah.
Sorry, last night when we were talking and we did go off topic a bit, but it also relates to the black community. Like basic common sense and thinking about things logically and stuff like that. It's like we threw the baby out with the bathwater, and I think they have come to a point in their life because I've watching a lot of videos on Japan and Asia, and even you and others say this, I feel so safe and just so, like I don't even have to leave my door locked and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I'm like, wow, man, like uh, this is not reality here, and when hopefully it doesn't happen, but when the shit hits the fan, I mean, when reality sets in, you all will then, I don't know what you all going to do, you know?
Yeah.
And trust me, man,
In terms of what? What do you mean?
in terms of safety, in terms of just, it's like you're starting to fall into a pattern where you let the group think for the individual. And that to me seems very dangerous. And you lose that perspective of your own personal intellect. It's like you whatever the group says, then hey, that's it. But you come from the West and you know how things are
Well, but you
in the
find
West.
wait. Do you think? I don't think that's the case at all. Actually, I think.
I've been watching videos and vlogs from Japan for
No,
the last
no,
2.5 years.
no, but still, but I'm saying like I live here and I travel like a lot and I
Mm,
talk to a ton of people. Like I know a lot of people.
mm,
So
mm.
for me, it's not. I what I get from people is more criticism in terms of the way Asia operates, right, or certain countries within this region. So people would say, well, these people they act this way, and these people, this or whatever. I won't say give any examples. Um,
And
and
I
so it's
just want to
more.
remind you guys of history.
No, so it's more. It's not. I don't find that people are okay. The only thing I've heard is that sometimes when people leave like Japan or whatever another country in Asia, they go somewhere else and then they have a rude awakening because they got so accustomed to the way of life in this region that their guards were down and then they went somewhere else and then something happened because they were operating as if they were in Japan. It's almost like, for instance, the difference between Japan and Vietnam, like give myself as an example. Usually when I'm walking around with like my backpack, I have like what's it? What was it? I usually have my wallet in the side of my bag because like I have so many things on me and I'm like sometimes it's hard to like reach and whatever. And my wallet, I use this thing that looks like I don't know, it's not a normal wallet. It's like this purse because there's a lot of like coins in Japan. So I have this bag thing, whatever. So I
Hmm.
usually put it in the side of my bag because it can't fit in my pocket, right? So I was in Vietnam and I put it on in the side of my thing and I'm walking. I was leaving the apartment that I was staying at and the guard dude was like, no, bro. Like he's like, no, like take that out. Like you gotta put that inside your bag. This is Vietnam. So it was different. I was like, snap. I was so used to. I'm not. For me, I know I can defend myself. I don't. When I go around, I'm just like, I don't. I'm not afraid. So I know myself. So I'm like, look, I'm ready at any moment. So for me, I'm like, I put my thing there. I'm like, I don't know. That's just my mindset. I'm like, yo, if only if they maybe a pickpocket and I don't notice that someone is trying to grab my thing, but I was just like, okay, I'm just, it's my bag. I can reach and get it easily. But the guy's like, yo, nah, you can't do it here.
All
Like,
I'm all I'm
so
saying is, brethren, you're a yardie, and remember that.
no,
I'm just planting the seed.
of
I'm
course,
just
what?
planting the seed.
What do you mean, bro? I'm just saying. No, I'm
You know
saying.
what I'm
No,
saying?
I'm
I'm just
saying.
planting the seed.
No, I'm saying that. I'm just saying
Remember
that
that.
people generally, it's only like stuff like that. Maybe sometimes you might forget, but for me, it was just. I'm just, as I said, I have it in my bag. I'm like, I'm fine, unless someone try to like pick my pocket and I'm not. I don't know, but I just know that if someone tries something, then I'm ready. But it's so for me, I'm like, that's why I'm comfortable in that thing, but the guy said that because he's like, okay, look, this clearly saying people pickpocket a lot, or it's a common thing in Vietnam. Maybe I don't know. So he's like, just make sure your thing is in your bag. So I just did it. I'm like, okay, you know what? This guy is a local, he's a Vietnamese person. I'm like, put it in my backpack. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going out. But people more than usually are have their Western mindset in Asia still, and they're black people have that same mentality for the most part. You're in a certain
Yep.
society, you're
Yep.
cool. I don't think anyone is taking on like, okay, I'm gonna act like I'm a Japanese or a Chinese or whatever person because I'm in this region. So you're saying I don't get that
No, no,
vibe.
I'll tell you something. Listen here. When I came to Canada, the first thing they said to me at the airport, because I came here by myself, and they said to me, you're gonna have to assimilate. And and I was like, what? I'm a Dominican, I'm a West Indian, I ain't assimilated to nothing. And
No.
and the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying is because, you know, I've been, as I said, I've been following these videos on YouTube, and hearing these sisters and brethren talking like it's we live in a utopia, and everything is all good, and you see videos of people putting their trolleys outside when they go to Costco, and no one is going to touch anything. And I'm saying, listen here, remember the history of Japan, remember the history of that region, remember where you come from, because
I see. Okay, I get where you're coming from, and assimilating is important as well. So I'm not knocking that. Of course, I think there's a certain degree of assimilation that someone should undergo. But of course, retain. No, of course, you in a sense, of course, because you don't want to be a person that's coming into a society and causing problems where your way of life is conflicting with the culture that you're in. So there's a certain level of respect that you need to employ, of course, and carry yourself in a certain way. So I think that is kind of necessary. Not imposing yourself too much. There are certain things, of course, you'll retain, but what you can compromise on a little bit, for peace sake, you can do so. That's what I think. And I think we would want the same thing if someone came into our house that, you take off your shoes. If that's, you're like, okay, you know what? I'm in this person's house. Let me take off my shoes, right? In my house, I walk with this or that, but it's their house. Let me take off my shoes.
well,
So it's
you know,
no. So,
I understand what you're saying,
but
brethren.
no,
I
with
understand what you're
the thing, one, okay. You said the Costco thing, or maybe not the Costco thing, but I've done it before, where I've took advantage of how safe, Japan is or feels or appear to be. Like I've misplaced my phone accidentally. It was an iPhone, and in some countries, people like an iPhone, like they would just steal it right away or whatever. So I charged my card to get on the train, and someone. I left it because like I put it down. I had my phone, so I put it down, and I was doing something at the same time, and so I forgot. And then I remember within like 5 minutes, I'm like, snap. But I'm like, I was gonna run, but I'm like, wait, it's Japan. So I just leisurely walked. And by the time I got to the station, my phone was in the lost and found, and I retrieved it. But there's another thing that was a wake up call, I guess, because my wife lost some stuff, a lot of important stuff actually, and it's in Japan, and someone actually stole it. So it's one of those things where it can happen. So, and it's like I was in South Korea as well. And so just like what you're saying, I can see some cases where this is applicable. I was in South Korea, and I bought this card for my train. And I never realized that it would have dispensed two cards, because I bought it for myself and my wife. And so I thought it was just one card so I could tap or whatever. For some reason, it's the first time I was doing it. And so I just took one, and I left before the other one was dispensed. By the time I went to the person, I'm like, wait, oh, snap, I need two? And they were telling me when I went back, it was gone. So someone literally took it within like less than 5 minutes. Someone actually saw my card and took it and left. And I was talking out loud I was talking to my wife. I'm like, snap, I can't believe, like, someone has never like stolen like a card or whatever from me before. And so another foreigner saw me, not a black person. She's like, oh, no, it's not. I'm like, if this was Japan, this wouldn't have happened. I've never experienced this in Japan. And the person was like defensive. And I'm like, yo, they're like, oh, are you sure? Like, maybe it's the staff. I'm like, dude, it's like super late in the nighttime. There's no one else there. Like, it's just like 5 people. It was the last train of the night. We had to actually go somewhere else. It was the last train of the night. So there's not a lot of people there. There was maybe like 2 people. Like, and the person was different. I'm like, do you think I'm an idiot? I'm like, who is this person? I'm like, what? So someone stole my thing. So it does happen. Things like that happen as well. And so you got to have your wits about you still, and remain vigilant. So I understand. If you get too comfortable, things can happen. And the history of Japan, I'm very well aware of that.
Good. I just want to just plant the seed. The other thing I want to just quickly mention is that going back to the travel thing,
Yeah.
of course, I really want to come to Japan, and maybe one day I will make that trip. I also want to go to Singapore. I would like to check out Singapore, because I think from
You've seen the
from
videos.
my growth as
You've seen the videos, that's why.
no, not just your videos. I've been following Singapore and stuff. In fact, one of my best friends I had when I was in high school, and he was from Malaysia, and I would love to track him down, because he gave me his grade 13 science book back in 1982.
Yeah.
And I threw it away when I moved in 1997. But his name and his address and everything was written in his language in the book. And I was always wondering if I can get someone to translate. And one of these days, I will, try to make that trip to track him down and thing because I think his dad was a member of the government in Malaysia at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, and my buddy actually just came from Singapore, and he said, not Singapore, sorry, the Philippines, and he said, man, it reminded him of JA. He was just, and he's from Backyard, and Ian is a filmmaker and he does a lot of films, and we do a lot of work together and stuff. In fact, we did a documentary on Miss Lou.
Oh, okay.
It's a
Okay.
100th birthday of Miss Lou,
Mhm.
and he's doing these projects in Asia and in India and stuff, and with cryptocurrency and all that kind of stuff. And he went to Singapore, to the Philippines, and he said, "Man, if there's any place that I want to live other than JA, that's it." And I think he's already making plans to do that. And but I definitely would like to check out Japan, and I also want to do some research, like physical research, when I come to Japan on the African samurai. What's his name? Suka or something.
No, is it
Can't remember.
what's his name?
You know who I'm talking
Sasuke.
about.
Sasuke.
Sasuke, yeah.
Mhm.
I would like to think because I've also spoken to a writer in an English writer who lives in Japan, and I want to connect with him because I'm thinking of maybe auctioning his script to maybe make a movie on it if possible.
Are you talking
Uh,
about the guy I interviewed?
no, I think the guy I'm thinking of is a white guy,
The white guy. I
a
interviewed
young
this
a
white.
young
No,
a young guy.
I did
Is he
interview a
from
white
England?
guy that I interviewed him on the channel. Like, well, he
Was
well,
was he from England?
maybe or the states. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But he did. It might be someone else. But he wrote a book. So the guy I interviewed him because he wrote a book on
Well,
Yasuke.
this guy was a young guy. He was
Okay.
like in his late 20s, early 30s,
Okay, maybe someone else.
and I think he did some work with BBC. So I reached out to him and I told him that my partner, actually, my buddy, that when I started the Black Experience in 1989, is now an executive producer at Netflix. And last year, actually, he won his first Oscar and Golden Globe with the movie The Green Book. I don't know if you heard of
Yeah,
that movie.
you told me that. Yeah, you told me before.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So there is possibilities, and I would like to come there and connect with folks that are doing stuff, specifically Black folks. But and I like the architecture, the serenity of the place. I was horrified when I saw the earthquake. I watched it when the wave was coming from miles out at sea. My best friend and I were watching it live for about 10, 12 hours. And while the wave was coming in and the helicopters were following it in and taking out the trains and all that kind of stuff. And watching the nuclear plants blowing up and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
but
okay. So
yeah,
we're gonna have to
but I'm
wrap
not gonna
up.
take up too much time.
Yeah.
I know it's a 10-minute thing.
It's
Uh,
way. I think we probably we've exceeded that a long time
it's
ago.
okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
okay.
yeah, but yeah, man. As I said, keep doing what you're doing, and my closing remark is always stay black, and I hope more people come to the channel and help make it bigger, just as big as the premier channel that you have.
Yeah. No
All right,
problem,
then.
man. All right. Thanks a lot
Yeah,
for calling, Earl. Take care.
and tell Jane and the kid hi for me, please.
All right. No problem.
All right,
Bye.
all right, peace, man.
Take care.
Yes.
So Garlinia. Every time I gotta like read your name because it's like not a common name, so it's just a pronunciation. So like when I see it, I have to like make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. If you want to call, you can call now. The lines are open again, and you're gonna be the final caller because it's what 1 hour and 1 minute now. So I'm trying to keep the live stream at 6 minutes, 60 minutes, like maybe like a little bit over, but I don't want to exceed it. So if you want to call, you can call now. Um, but yeah, again, I know we kind of because it's live and the nature right now is more so free flowing. Um, if we have a topic or a title that is a certain topic, we might go off topic for a little bit. It depends, right? So I want this to be like just this free flowing thing. Here comes a call. Hello, hey, what's up?
Yes, and I just put my pronunciation of my name because yes, I tell people my name is common like Lisa, Mary, and Jane, and you can find my name on T-shirts and coffee mugs at our local Walmart. That's
Okay.
not true, but
Okay, because I see the NIA, so it's like, okay, so Garlina, but okay.
yeah.
Okay. Sakura, Sakura said something earlier. Sakura said, I meant to be traveling. I was meant to be traveling to Japan in September for university, but who knows now? Love the COVID-19. Well, Sakura, that's September. It's quite a ways. Maybe you'll be able to do it. I'm not sure. Hopefully, but if not, you got to make the necessary changes, right? Because we can't do anything about that. But best of luck to you, man. If you gotta go, have a good night. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Yeah. So what's on your side, Galina? Hopefully, I remember that
Well,
pronunciation.
it's not 2 a.m, so it's all good.
Okay.
At least over here.
Okay.
I was actually I think that I get your perspective that you're trying to keep a balance and not go to the right or to the left, but just kind of keep things in the middle as it pertains to subject matter. And so I was thinking, because you were talking about the immunization, and I have two friends, one who works in the emergency room. She's an emergency room doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I have another one who is an emergency room head nurse. Or she actually is a head nurse, and she's working in the emergency room now.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have some other nurses that I work with. I volunteer at a crisis pregnancy center, so I get a chance to work with some medical professionals. And I would hope, because I know I saw some of the comments the last time that I called in. I'm hoping, because I did at least put out one reference that people can pull information from. I'd like to see if somebody's willing to do the research, if they're willing to do the digging and find what is actually readily available, because there is a reason why you have some medical professionals who won't take the flu shot. It's because they've read what's in it.
Okay.
And yeah, it just, to me, that's kind of basic. Find out what's in it and then make your determination. And when you find out what's in it, it is disturbing.
Mm.
And so, plus, I don't have the link of the doctor in Africa who just happened to do a study on the children that were being vaccinated. I forgot what they were being vaccinated for. And he and his colleague did actually, did some tracking and found that there was more morbidity after the vaccines than before.
Yeah. There's a thing. Oh, sorry, continue.
No, I'm listening.
No, I'm saying there's a thing where there's two, I guess, factions or like people, groups, right? Who I think they have a term. It's like a big thing now with vaccinations. It's a big thing. So it might be they might have a law in the near future for it, because there's one group of people who aren't for it. I think what is their name? What's the name they call them? What's the name? No vaxxers or no vax or
anti-vaxxers.
Anti-vaxxers, right? So that's one. I think that is that it. Anti-vax.
Yeah, anti-vax.
It's that or not. Maybe it might be that. So you have that group, and then the other group which is for it, and then it's like this thing where, so it's like a thing. It's a big thing. It's very, very controversial. And that's why I don't really want to talk about it, because And that's the next thing too with social media, where you're just like, man, like it's getting to a point where you can't, you got to watch what you're talking about, because like you literally don't have any power or any real freedoms, right? People
Right.
can literally silence you so easily, and despite all your hard work or whatever. So it's one of those things where you got to make sure you're towing the line or not trying to like keep away from it.
Right.
But yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I know you as a
But I allow you to
would you
speak
consider
freely.
a
Like
blogger?
I'll allow you to speak freely, right? And that's
Oh, okay.
I might start talking freely. But when I do interviews, for instance, I allow people to say, I just allow them to speak, right? It's not that I share the same views or not, but I just wanna. It's not that I'm with or
Well,
against. I'm neutral, as long as when I'm
well,
interviewing.
well, that's what I got, and you probably would have the disclaimer that the opinions that are being expressed are not necessarily the opinions of the commentator or the opinions of you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I understand that, but so let me put it out this way: there are facts that the vaccines have aborted fetal cells in them. I think it's called HEK. Heck, oh Lord, I should have my stats. But anyway, there's a specific.
But the question is, this is a question. The question with that is, why would, in your opinion, or based on your research, or from the people that the doctor and the nurse who decline taking certain vaccinations or vaccines, what's the adverse effect? Like why would the establishment, quote unquote, want to give people that? What's the motivation?
The motivation is Agenda 21, Agenda 2030.
And
That's the short answer.
what's that in the, like, if you can just give me a...
It's population control.
I see. Okay.
When you and I like I said, I hope that your listeners, especially the ones that come, I don't know if they're on here this time, but the people who have doubts, we still are able to research and find out what I'm talking about is true. I'm not blowing hot air. It's real. I actually have a customer who I deliver to, and her and her husband had agreed not to vaccinate one child. And then they decided they were going to vaccinate this other child. And immediately after they vaccinated this child, he's autistic.
Oh, wow.
And so this is very real because of the components, the adjuvants, and like I said, fetal cells, mercury, and other adjuvants that are in the vaccines, and also the number of how many they're giving to children at a young age. When I was born, the number of vaccines that were given they have now tripled or quadrupled for children now. So you just have to think that a body can only handle so much. And so that same link that I gave you shows reports of a very healthy man who was vibrant and he was a firefighter, I believe, and just very athletic. He had a new job. He had to take I think it was the MMR or I think it was the MMR. And as soon as he took the MMR, he is now disabled.
Wow.
They have him showing where he's writhing in pain. And then the doctor says, you're allergic to it. Now, they had agreed not to take it. And then the husband said, well, it's just for my job. It's just one thing. And this is what has happened. In the U.S., we do have a fund for those who are medically damaged from vaccines. But you can't sue the companies.
I see. Wow.
So,
wow.
It is, I'm just saying, I am actually just pleading on behalf of us as humanity, not to put our head in the sand. We're responsible for our bodies. To stop giving, there's things that we talk about. Don't give other people your freedom. You're here.
Yeah,
Take their.
yeah, my position is definitely like I don't like anything where people are forced to do anything, and I think that's where it's on. And then it really depends on what it is, right? Because some people might say, hey, look, there's certain things that everyone can agree on, or most people, like well, maybe not even justice, because people disagree with that. But there's certain things that like are acceptable. But when it comes on to infringing on someone's rights or freedoms and stuff like that, that's a problem. So I think people should have the right to refuse whatever or do take whatever. So I think if you're gonna force someone to do it, I think that's problematic overall. So I think that's problematic, and especially if you start criminalizing people for just their decisions and like choices. Of course, it depends, right? This really depends. It's not everything, because if someone decides to steal, then the consequence for that. If you decide to like commit a crime, or murder or whatever, then like you need to go to jail. But with certain things, I'm like, people should have a choice, and you shouldn't try to force anyone. And there are things when you do research, you see videos. It seems like we're approaching the sort of like 1984, what the 1984 book prophesied. Hopefully it's not a prophecy. Hopefully it's just this thing.
The Orson Welles book.
Like what, or like a Orwellian society. If that's how you say
exactly what.
Hopefully
that's
that doesn't
exactly
happen.
what we have.
Okay.
No, that's happening now.
But yeah, hopefully, I don't know, like there's a lot of stuff that is going on, and it seems like a lot of things are pointing in a certain direction. And it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard for me not to talk about some of this stuff, because it's concerning. Like if the world does go that way,
well, I know you can say if. Well, we'll give it just a simple example. The fact that you have to censor what you say. You as a commentator or originator of your station, you're on a YouTube platform. There are algorithms that run, and there are certain things that you can and cannot say, or they will shut you down. There are also, when I said before, opposing viewpoints that have had platforms on the internet, websites, and pay mechanisms, PayPal and all of that. Because of their views, they were actually wiped off of the internet. Their whole site was gone, and their money was frozen with like these pay services like PayPal and some of these other services where they totally censored them.
Well, okay, sorry, someone is calling, and I told them to call back, but they're trying to call. So because I'm going to end as well, any final thoughts? So I can accept this call, and then I'm going to...
Okay, I was just going to say final thoughts. If people could just simply, because the information is available, go find out what's in the vaccines, and then you'll understand why people are hesitating. And then also find out what happened to people who were whistleblowers, like the recent death of a CDC employee who was actually going to come out saying that there is a tie between immunizations and autism, and then he was found dead.
Yeah, my thing is I want to make sure that people have a choice, and like anything concerning their lives, and stuff like that. So hopefully, we can preserve the right to decline certain things, and that's all I'm saying. And I don't think anyone. I guess some people, it depends. Some people would say, well, they don't have a right, but I think everyone does.
We have that
right. But let me. Thanks for calling, though. Let me get this call. It's going to be the last call because I've exceeded my time. But thanks so much for calling, Garlina. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me.
You too. Thanks. Bye bye.
All right. Bye. Hello.
Yes. Hi, Renzo. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good. I'm one of your subscribers on your channels, and I just wanted to bring up a quick topic before you close about the fact that Cuba is becoming such a big helper in the midst of this, as a communist country.
Oh
and what that means.
Cuba is becoming a what? A big what?
It's such a big helper medically.
Okay, okay.
They've been to Jamaica, and I heard that from my sister. She's a nurse, and now I just read that they're in Italy. They're sending teams to both these countries. And what does that signify as a communist country? Them stepping up on the world stage. I just wanted to bring that up. Throw that out there.
Yeah, Cuba has been helping a lot of countries in terms of stuff like that. Sending doctors and person like that for a while. Overall, generally, right? Because Cuba is is known for medicine and stuff like that as well. So, but it's good. It's overall it's cool. I think anyone that are deploying resources to try to help fight this thing should be commended.
Okay.
Is that what you're saying, or are you saying is there another?
Well, if you want to go deeper, the influence of communism in a time where things are more controlled, or can be more controlled, if that's the way we're going to be going,
But wasn't Cuba?
I don't know.
I'm not sure though, but I can't recall, but there was something about Cuba and either scholarships or something for people to go to medical school. There was I can't remember, but there was something that they were doing that seemed really, really cool. At one point, I think I heard something, but I can't recall exactly what it was, but it was some sort of benevolence. They were doing something to help people in terms of, I think it was either scholarships to go to medical school in their country or something. So maybe my mind went there. That they're always helping when it comes on to the medical field. So maybe that's why. But yeah, I don't honestly, we don't know. I'm not even sure what the world is going to look like. My daughter is 5. I think there was someone that commented either in this chat or on a video that they were pregnant. And this time, they're pregnant now and they're due this year, and the person was concerned about just the whole uncertainty, and it's one of those things. So in terms of the future and thinking about what might happen is very troubling, right? So what the world is going to look like post COVID-19, man, I think most of us don't know, but it's not looking too good, but hopefully, it will return to normal or become a better place for all of us. That's my hope,
Right.
That's my hope, because I just have this feeling, man, that liberties are at stake. I don't know.
It's being more restricted. It's going to be another big change like after 9/11. Things are going to get even more change.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy, man. And now Earl just said, "Oh, hello." Oh, maybe the call got disconnected. It looks like, was it? I'm not sure why, but Earl said that people now will be criminalized if they go against what the government is saying in terms of being quarantined and not doing certain things, so they can be criminalized, which it's quite serious. You can be arrested and sent to jail, it is troubling. But you know what? I guess there's not much that can be said, right? I know these live streams are just giving people a platform, to speak their minds, to connect with other people, just to share your thoughts. Because the truth of the matter is, unless we don't really know much, right? And even some of the interviews you watch with doctors, they say certain things that okay, this is what's going on, and this is projected to happen. These amount of deaths potentially, and then when you watch some other videos with people that they have labeled or are labeled conspiracy theorists, they have a whole nother story. And that's the most interesting take on this whole thing, right? It seems like they seem to know more than people who should know more, or people who can't say certain things, or who know something that can't say it. So it's it really depends on what avenue we want to take when we talk about COVID-19. Because one is like, okay, what's going on where you are? We can talk about what we're seeing as people on the ground, just living, not really knowing the inner workings or the behind the scenes of just, governments and different organizations. Then you have people who may have information that want to share it and they're sharing it, but of course comes across as kind of strange or false or fake news or conspiracy. What's the word I'm trying to find? Conspiratory, I believe. So you have all these things that happened, and you don't know. 5G, people are trying to say there's a correlation between 5G and COVID-19. 5G will be in all major cities in Japan. Right? I watched a video and people are talking about, okay, that's one of the reasons. They're talking about Wuhan has it, and they're talking about Korea has it. I don't know. But I know that 5G was launched recently in Japan. They have advertisements all over Tokyo. They're saying there was this one video I was watching on the news last night where apparently in some manufacturing facilities before, because of the wires and stuff, they could only operate like a few robots, like a few. But with 5G now, they can operate hundreds of robots, which is, I'm like, snap, that's how powerful this thing is. And then when you see some videos about like what it's doing and just like this whole wireless type of communication and what it does to the body and stuff, I'm like, snap, oh, snap, I never even thought about that. These are things that we don't even think about because we don't know. And we have to admit that there are things that we who aren't experts just don't know. There are things that we're not privy to at all. Like our minds don't even venture to think about certain things at all. Like, oh snap, like I'm being exposed to these things all the time. Is there something that could happen to me? I'm not sure. We don't even care. So when you come across some videos and information, you're like, oh, I never thought about that. Oh, I wonder if this is true. If this is true, snap. Right? So there are all these things, man, that come to mind, and people have been talking about the New World Order for years and all these things. So you don't know, but there's certain things that you hear that makes you go, I wonder, is this really true? What's the world going to look like in the next 2 decades? All right. So yeah, when COVID-19, there's not much you can do unless you go into that direction of being like a conspiracy theorist and start talking about what if. But one thing I know to be true is that we will see what will happen post COVID-19, if something will, or what will change. Until then, there's no way to know for sure unless someone who is the mastermind, if there is such a person or such a cohort, that will come out and say, this is what we're doing. Until then, there's no way to verify anything. So all we got to do right now is be safe, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and do whatever you can to preserve your sanity, your health, your livelihood. That's what you can do right now. And one thing that I've experienced myself, which is a bit concerning, is that who was it? That we're afraid of people now. If someone cough, you're doing the double take. Someone sneeze, you're doing the double take. Right? You're in a bus, a train, a plane, a boat, whatever. Like you're scared of your surroundings. You're terrified of your fellow human because to you, maybe you're thinking that they are a biological weapon. So people are avoiding people. Humans are terrified of humans. It's kind of crazy. And I hope that doesn't linger, post COVID-19, where we end up living in a society where we're terrified to interact and engage with people, especially in a social media, technology driven world where people aren't really, socializing as much as before in person. We're doing that mostly online. Can you imagine if we start living in a society where like social distancing becomes the norm, and we start entering, and this is ushering the age of pandemics, natural or manufactured. I just hope the world doesn't change dramatically or drastically after COVID-19. That's my hope, right? And for all those people who are pregnant right now, those who are considering starting a family, those who are about to give birth, those with young children, it's something that's concerning because you're thinking about what will the future for my kids look like. And if you're contemplating bringing other kids into the world, you got to think about, or you might be thinking about right now, I should say, let me just correct that. You might be thinking about, man, like, what will the world look like? So, and what can we do? What can we do to make this a better place? I guess I don't know. I know I'm kind of like, it's not that positive right now. But it's one of those things where it just shows you we start thinking about our liberties and just how much power we have or don't have. Right now, in times like these, we're like, man, what can we really control? And some people will say, hey, look up, right? Other people might say, man, go under, find a bunker, start stacking up. And some people might say, hey, enjoy yourself and just do whatever you want. So there are a lot of different things. And right now, this period has given rise to a lot of things. Whether someone is a faith-driven person, a believer, right? So there's one way that they look up. If someone just doesn't care about anything, they might just say, hey, we just go party and do whatever. We don't care. We go outside. We do anything we want. And then you have people, the doomsday people, who might say, look, man, y'all, look, this is the end. It's coming, and go underground. So we're in uncertain times, but hey, yeah, stay positive, right? And it's kind of hard for me to say that there's no power behind that really, because the truth is I don't know what's really taking place. I have what I have in my mind and how I am personally handling this. Looking forward to traveling again. I'm not sure what you guys are doing, but of course stay positive and stay positive. And make sure you try your best. I guess there's one thing. Try your best to be as prepared as possible. And if the world remains the same post-COVID-19, make sure you take that time to plan and prepare for something that might happen. All right? We know that we are temporary visitors to this planet as humans. None of us will live forever. I don't think they don't have the technology yet, not that I'm aware of. So most of us will live, within the span of a century. We will be gone. We came and then we left. But as long as you're here, just try to prepare as much as you can to make your stay on this planet, as comfortable as possible and as stress-free as possible. By, taking care of your health, right? Eating properly, exercising, taking care of your mental health, saving, all these things. Just make sure that you just do these things, and try to safeguard against just things that can happen in the world, like what's going on right now, right? Yeah. So that's my advice. Definitely get active. If you're inside right now and you're quarantined, there's a lot of workout that you can do. Like me, like for instance, like I go for runs, and I do different workout. I got my weights, free weights, inside my house, and I do, like calisthenics. I do, burpees and stuff, and it's a very effective exercise. So there are things that you can do in your house or even in your backyard or front yard that can keep you active and healthy body, strong body, strong mind. So there's that. So that's my advice for you guys. Let's see the comments, and then I'm gonna conclude. Let's see. Earl was asking a question. There's no such places in right now. What else is there? Oh, you're welcome, girl. Okay. Cuba has sent tens of thousands of doctors, medical technicians, and nurses to nearly every nation on this planet. Cuba did save China, Korea, and a number of nations around the world. Okay. For roughly 40 years, Cuba has been offering Anyone interested in free post-secondary education, they also offer free medical care for any Caribbean, Central, and South American citizens that requires it. Oh, cool. Garlino, I've had a customer who immediately became deathly ill after installing 5G. Really? Interesting. 5G is a military weapon, Garlino is saying. There is documentation the waves disrupt our DNA. Yeah, I've seen videos on it and it's pretty terrifying, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not an expert in that, so I don't know, but there are some concerning videos. Earl, it's my belief after this COVID-19 pandemic has concluded that Cuba will emerge greater than ever. I think this could become the final end of the U.S. embargo against Cuba. Garlino, reinforce your immune system. Garlino again. True, but there are a group of Christians treating this with open eyes and balance. Earl, Peter Tosh has said it. Christians want to go to heaven, but they don't want to to dead. The soldiers also have this thing too that where they say apparently, people want to go to heaven, but no one wants to die. Like stuff like that. So the thing with death is the uncertainty of it. But it's crazy that it's uncertain, but no one. We don't understand it, but it's inevitable, right? We don't know what's going to happen afterwards, right? We don't know. It's one of those things. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. We will be live again tomorrow at 10 a.m. JST, Japan Standard Time. You can always call in. The number is in the description down below, and the link to subscribe as well. And you can hit the subscribe button, that big red button, to subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can be notified as well. You can also add us on Skype to call us freely daily. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going to talk about different things, whatever comes to mind. Just again, an opportunity for you guys to just share your thoughts. That's what we're doing. And maybe after this COVID-19 pandemic, we can do some adventures across the globe. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching. This was your host, Ranzo. Okay, maybe I'll take my wife on. Maybe tomorrow, I'll come on with my wife, and then she'll be beside me, and then we can, can keep talking. But bye for now, guys. Thanks for watching. Kia skate.